Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's September 25th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. A quick look at our daily chart, and you can see we traded higher, but closed slightly down. We mostly traded sideways early, and then there was a late sell-off. We recovered some of that, so we didn't quite close on the lows. So this just looks like more consolidation to me before maybe we go higher again. We could end up correcting some, but I don't see anything here that says, "Hey, a correction's about to start." It just looks like consolidation. Doesn't mean we can't correct, but so far there's nothing really telling about the chart that says, "Hey, we're about to sell off here." So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, take a look at what the day looks like, and talk about our trades. Okay, here it is. And early on, I had the range lows a little higher than the overnight lows. But you can see we ended up moving pretty, for the most part, a measured move lower. This might have actually been even slightly lower here. I think you get most of the touches there, and that has us turning twice right off of a perfect measured move there. So I think that's probably more like the lower part, which turns out just to be a midline, is what this was. What I had early as the lows, I think I had it just slightly even lower than that originally, but we bounced a little sooner than what I was expecting, so I moved it up and tightened it up. And you can see we're playing both sides of that line even early, but here we are playing it later in the day too, and gives us a perfect measured move down. So I do believe this was the original range here, and again, it just turns out to be a midline, and the overnight or the range lows were a little lower than the overnight low. That's what we turned out with. And this was a pretty good trend down. I think it started right in here and trended down, and you can see we got a break. We never did make a new low. Range days, that's nothing out of the normal. And this could have been an overshoot here that caused this down at the bottom. I mean, it could be that, to me it looks like a two-tiered channel, but it could be that that was the original channel and we ended up with an overshoot down here. So, and that could have led to a reversal. But a lot of times you get a range and you touch the bottom and you don't get a retest of it, you just reverse. And even though we rallied out of there and took about half of it back, we didn't, we still traded down from yesterday. We opened right at yesterday's close, so there was no gap at all on the chart today. But let's zoom in here. There was no red news today either. So let's zoom in here and talk about the trades. Okay, 7 o'clock came just as we're kind of making this little move here. And this is a little bit higher right here. This should be more up like so. Notice we had a new high here, and you get your first entry, and then you pull back, and you get a second entry when you break above that bar. But it turns out that's a inside bar, and it makes it really congestion, and you're kind of going high. You're not kind of, but you are going high, right? Pretty much right into all those closes and highs there. I just think that's too dangerous. It ends up moving higher, but I don't like the setup. We did get a triple test up here but we never had a break in new high yet. You see, we ended up making a new high before we reversed. And this is really just, even though I drew on the resistance up there, I never really drew the rest of the range. Or it's just really a real tight range or congestion. And you can see that there, so I don't think you want to go short. Let me get rid of this other line here. I don't think you want to go short right into the lows there. It would have ended up working, but it's not a very good setup. So, and then we drop down, and we actually get this is not a move up. This is just sideways. So here's your first move up. So you get a first entry, and then there's your second entry. By the counts, if you're the way you would count, this would be a third entry, but hopefully you can see that's not a move or a leg. It's just sideways, and then you get your first leg, and then you try to go higher again, and then you make a lower high, and so there'd be a second entry short there, in my opinion. I like going short there. Plenty of room down to these lows. And then we make a triple bottom there. You can see we had a pullback there. I marked this green. The only reason this is green and not blue is because there's a lot of time and space in there between that. I mean, this one happened way over here at just right at a little after 7 o'clock, and then you don't get this one till almost 9, and then this one just a few minutes later. So it doesn't really feel like a triple test to me. It ends up acting like one. I marked it green. I mean, I liked it in real time, but technically it's not really. I don't think you can argue for that to be a really good triple test setup. So I marked it green, and you don't really get another chance to enter. And you test the highs again, and then you get a lower high. And there's a hidden second entry in there. Look at the move up. Move down would be your first entry, move up, and then a second entry there. It's a hidden one. That's a little more advanced. If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. Just concentrate on the basics and don't worry about hidden second entries. That's not for new traders. But that qualifies as a hidden second entry, and that's close enough to be a lower high. And it's a good signal bar, so I like that one. That's just a first entry there, and we actually make a triple bottom here, but not a good enough signal bar. And there's actually a triple top here, 1, 2, 3, but again, not a good enough signal bar to trade anything. You also get a failed breakout here. Again, no signal bar. You might have looked at this as back in the range, but there's not much room there. It would have worked, but I don't like it. I mean, the bar itself is 14 ticks, and then you're only going to probably get a scalp out of it. So you're risking 14 ticks to make 4 ticks with no chance to get a run or anything, most likely. So just, to me, just skip that trade. Then you get your close outside new high, and then you get a lower high here. This one didn't quite qualify, in my opinion. It's too much stem. But then you get a lower high here with a perfect bar and plenty of room. I like that one. And this one keeps going. And then down here we make a double bottom. So maybe, and you also got your break of this channel in a new low. So maybe you enter there. But again, you'd probably be better off. And that is technically it's not a second entry. It's 2 swings down, but really by the count it's a first, second, third entry. But it makes a double bottom. You got a break and 2 swings to a new low. Maybe you enter there. The better trade is to wait for the higher low, which you get on just a few minutes later. And you might even argue that's a triple test, but we're trading it as a higher low, really. And if you look, it's 5 ticks. So you can actually get in that with an 8-tick rule. And it's, you don't get a huge runner, but it does take off, and you probably would get some amount of a runner out of that one. And then it turns down there. And this confirms the trend line, but there's no close outside new high, and it's just, I think you'd have to count that as a first entry. And so I don't see an entry I like there. And then we're back in another range. So I don't see any longs here. Anything I like. By the time you get here, of course, you might say, okay, that signal bar maybe qualifies, but then by that time you can clearly see the downsloping trend line, and we're turning off of it each time, and there's no room there. So don't risk that for sure. And you can see then it turns lower, and the channel's actually winning out here. So again, I don't see anything you can really trade in there. It does come back here and turns, and you get a close outside and a new high all in one bar. Turns down right off the key entry point. So I like going short right there, and that turns out to be a really nice move, and you'd catch a runner there. Even if you just went to the low side there, you got 10 points. Then we bounce off the lows. You get a break right there and a first entry, and you move to a new high, and you get a second entry short there. But again, the signal bar is no good. But notice you make another swing low right there. It's lower than that one, and you get a first entry, second entry, and that signal bar is fine. And it looks like we may be going to go into some congestion, but you got enough room to scalp out, so I still think you can take that trade. And you might have had to hang on a minute. You probably would have scalped out of this and then got stopped out. But if not, if you held on, you got another move down. And then we get another channel up, close outside. It tries to go higher twice there, you can see. And that's a second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry. It turns higher there. When it breaks below that bar, it's a second entry short. And that makes a double bottom down here at a perfect measured move. But this is a downtrend, and so far it's been winning out. So I wouldn't go short or long right there. I would wait. Wait and see if you get a higher low. And notice what happens. We actually get a break here. But there's a new low right here, a double bottom. Plus it moves up, and you get a first entry and a close outside a new high and a second entry short, but right below that nice bearish signal bar, way away from the EMA. I like that one. You may or may not catch a runner depending on how you play that one, but if you do, it's another nice move down. We actually got a triple test, but no setup here. Then we run back up, close outside, move to a new high, and another second entry short. We've seen this pattern multiple times today. I mark this green. I don't know why I mark it green, because I like it. Maybe I just accidentally marked it green. I'm going to change it back to red, because I like that trade. And then we just kind of went sideways there, and it was pretty obvious we were in a channel by then. But I don't see anything else in there you can take, and that took us into 230. So, but yeah, this was a repeat pattern. So I'd take that trade. But there it is. Not a lot of trades today, but it was there's several second entries and decent entries here today. Again, there's a lot of range type trades or support resistance type trades as well. And with all the choppiness we're seeing lately, you just don't have much option on that. You pretty much have to play that. So, but I felt like it was a pretty good trading day. So, anyway, there it is. Not much else I can say about today. Again, there was no gap. Notice that the open and the close from the previous day are both on at the same exact price, so there's no gap today. The range looked like it was going to be a little tighter, and then we dropped down. We moved a perfect measured move basically, and we closed right along the original range low, which would now really simply be a midline like that. So there it is. The biggest move was a big move down off these highs, and there's no surprise there, because the path of least resistance is probably down now because we're back up into overbought territory. That doesn't mean we can't still have a big rally up, but once you start to get into that overbought territory, it just takes a little selling to get it rolling, and the next thing you know, it's everybody's taking profits, and you get a correction. So keep that in mind. But anyway, there it is. That's how I saw it today. Yeah, we'll be back again to do it tomorrow, and we'll wrap up our week tomorrow. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.